can my husband and I best navigate honesty and transparency with our oldest son, who is biologically mine but has been adopted by my husband, about his background while keeping him from feeling alienated from his siblings?
Tell me more.
So, when I was 22, I was raped, and as a result, got pregnant with my now 6-year-old. Yeah, it was
it's a nightmare.
rough time.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But through a lot of healing, I've managed to kind of cope with that, and so that's, as far as where I stand with all that, it's all good and well. But where I'm struggling is my husband and I, my husband's amazing. He adopted my son not long after we got married. That was like our second order of business.
How old was your son? Married. How old was he?
When we got married, he was 3.
Okay.
So he remembers our wedding. Dad? He has never been around, never wanted to be around, and to be honest with you, I've never wanted him around.
Did he sign over full custody? He's out.
Yep.
Was he prosecuted?
No. We went through a really lengthy legal battle to get adoption of my son. Sorry if I'm stuttering. I'm a little nervous.
No, you're good. You're good. You're totally good.
And this whole situation's a little stressful, but
yeah, take your time. You're good.
Yeah, so we could have prosecuted him. I chose not to.
Okay.
That was totally my choice, and I don't, that's a different call.
Yeah.
But he did sign over his rights and has no access to my son, and my son has been legally adopted by my husband. We all have the same last name.
Okay.
So we have since had twins. So I have 1-year-old twins as well. And we want to do the best that we can by our son by being honest and transparent with him. He knows that he's adopted, and he has very positive memories around like our final court hearing. And the way that we've framed it to him is actually language I've taken from you listening to your show. We've always explained it to him that my husband chose him and was so excited to be his dad because he's so special. But as far as his biological dad, he doesn't know anything about any of that yet. And I want to be honest with him, but I want to do it at the right time and the right way. Yeah. And I don't want him to feel different from our other 2 children.
Yeah, I right now he's 6, you said? Say that one more time.
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
The burden of that story is squarely on your shoulders. It's not on him.
Okay.
Okay. The angst you feel starting to kind of well up is in your chest, not in his yet. Okay. Does he know that that you made him with another guy, and that guy made some really bad choices?
No, he doesn't understand that, like on a anatomical, biological level. He doesn't understand that. He knows that when he was born, it was just me and him, and that I met his dad, my husband, when he was a toddler.
Okay.
But he doesn't know anything beyond that at this point.
So you would probably, not always, but probably be astonished with what he does and doesn't know.
Okay.
Okay. It's amazing to me how kids pick stuff up. And they pick up glances and eyebrow, that's what they do, right? They're very attuned. And that also means you had a pretty stressful pregnancy, fair?
Very,
yeah.
Yes.
So he bathed in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay? Like he lived inside of a very stressful situation.
Sure.
Okay? So as you begin to have the body parts talk and the mommy parts and the daddy part, like as you begin to have that conversation, I'll give you a couple of guidelines on, here's a couple of lines just to have in your pocket. And here's a couple of, I would call them principles, just like some guiding principles, okay? That will navigate this, but let me rest in peace 6 is way too early for this conversation.
That's kind of what I assumed.
Way. So I actually got a heads up on just kind of like a high level of what your call was about. And I called 2 different amazing Dr. Lynn Jennings and Dr. Michael Gomez, 2 very accomplished. Both of them are mentors of mine, but very accomplished psychologists and therapists, respectively, who work with, in this situation over and over and over again. This is what they dedicate their life to. And so both of them gave me very similar, just right down the line. Here's some very clear things about how you can just walk through this process with your head held high, okay?
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get going, if I tell you something, say, I promise I'll believe you.
I promise I'll believe you.
By the way, that's ridiculous, right? You can't. You've done a pretty remarkable, amazing job with this little one.
Oh, thank you.
And there's that haunting.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that he doesn't carry that.
I appreciate that.
Okay?
Okay.
He will at some point, but okay, I don't want to lie to you. When he's 12, it's going to be tough. But right now, he doesn't carry that. Is he so excited to be a big brother?
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it.
One gift you can give him, and I learned this from an old counseling professor of mine. She was amazing. Call them his kids.
Okay.
Or use his brother and sister. Like, hey, your brother and sister. And it gives a 6-year-old, especially an untethered 6-year-old like he is sometimes, it gives them the greatest gift in the world, which is purpose, autonomy, and ownership.
Okay.
Okay. So that's not why you called, but that's just a thing like, hey, these are your brother and sister. Do you know what you are? A big brother. And amazing. Okay. So when the conversation comes up, when he one day says, but who put the baby in you, Mommy? When he asks that question, you say, another man did. Where's he? He made some bad choices, and so he doesn't get to see us anymore. And really quickly, if your husband is there, your son's adoptive father, this amazing guy, if he's there, great. If he's not, great. But here's a remarkable line that Dr. Jennings gave me that I love it, and I will repeat it 1,000 times. You ready for this line?
Yeah.
When your husband takes a knee in front of this little boy and says, I wasn't there, I wasn't a part of making you, but I got here as fast as I could. And then the exhale. And then you hug him and say, I got to you as fast as I could. Because you're my son. And that's a conversation for a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old. Things get more complex when they're 9 and 10. But you're probably in the range of 16, 17, 18. Sometimes you have a sophisticated 14 or 15-year-old. Sometimes it's a little bit slower. But you're getting older when you get into, all right, we need to go out and have a hard conversation.
Okay.
And by the way, even then, there may come a time when, think about it this way. Think about if your twins came to you and said, hey, will you walk me through the night you and Dad rocked it on to the break of dawn and got pregnant? Like, you're not going to do that, right? You'd be like, shut up, no. And so, similarly, just because it was a tragic circumstance, we're still not going to walk through step by step by step.
Okay.
But there will come a time when you sit down and say your dad made some bad choice. I know. You always say it's bad choice. What does that even mean? All right, when I'm ready, I'm gonna have this. I'll tell you, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna sit somewhere in a corner booth somewhere, and I'm gonna tell you what happened.
Okay.
And that's gonna be a harder conversation, and I'd strongly recommend as you enter into that world, you sit with a counselor, and what I would say is you're going to rehearse that one.
Okay.
Just to make sure I've got a couple of clear statements. But you're talking several years from now. Here's the magic important part, okay? When your kid is 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The shorter the conversation, the better.
Okay.
Most adults want to have big 2 long-hour conversations unpacking what happened and why, and oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you're here. I'm going to tell you the details, but I want you to know your report. He made some bad choices, and so he got in trouble, and he's not allowed to come here anymore. And your daddy wasn't a part of making you, but he got here as fast as he could because he could not wait to be your daddy. Big hug. Conversation's over.
Okay.
And if you have an astute 6-year-old or 7-year-old like I did, he may ask a couple of follow-up questions. Awesome. But I'm going to let him ask the next follow-up questions. What did he do? Oh, he did some grown-up stuff. We'll talk about it one day when you're older. Okay.
Okay.
Now, here's the big magic moment here that I need you to metabolize, okay? You're going to want to get, I hate to use this language, but hopefully you know what I mean. It's not perfect language, but you're going to want to get this out in an effort to be, quote unquote, as transparent and honest as you can with this kid.
Yeah.
But if we're really honest, what we want is you want to get this out, and I kind of want you to carry this now.
Okay.
And I want you to never put that on him because it's not his to carry.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's where Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say.
I was just going to. You go ahead. You're good.
Jinx. This will get hard. And this is me just being as honest as I can. I know we don't have a lot of time. I normally wouldn't tell you this in the first session, okay? I would tell you later, but this will get hard as he starts to look like that guy.
Yeah.
And did you date this guy? Was it a one-night stand? Was it an out of the blue?
No. So he was with a group of friends that I was also with. I had never met him before, and he kind of sought me out and put something in my drink. I was young and stupid, and I haven't seen him again since then. Yeah, and so I think what I was going to say is I think my biggest fear, because I've heard you talk before on your show and just from other people I know that have been adopted, that I think I've always just gotten the message that secrets they'll destroy families. And so what my fear is I don't want my son to be an adult one day and feel like I lied to him or, if he doesn't have a clear picture of the situation that I kept him from his biological dad or anything like that.
No. Here's your question is so great. And I'm going to give you the words of Dr. Jennings, and I love this. When they're young, always tell the truth and tell them something they can hear that they can actually digest, right? But here's because the 6-year-old's not going to understand what rape and assault is.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't even know the body parts yet. Doesn't even know how that works yet. So they're not going to know that. And it would be overwhelming for a 6-year-old to just be said, there was a really violent interaction right?
Yeah.
So here's the magic line that Dr. Jennings gave me that I love. Start with a story that you can always build on. And that's it. And I know that sounds simple, but the secret is not telling anybody anything. Not telling him you weren't adopted, you're one of us. That will fester.
Yeah.
No, your bio dad was amazing. He went off to sea and we never saw him again. That will fester. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Daddy made some bad choices, so he got in trouble. Then 2 years later, Dad made some choices. He broke the law, had to go to jail. Or he broke the law. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got all of the best parts of him, but he made some real bad choices and got in big trouble. Then 2 or 3 years later, he had to go to jail. No, I didn't press charges. What did he do to you? It was pretty tough. It was real tough stuff. It was a bad deal. What is it? It was a bad deal. I'm not comfortable talking about it with you yet. I'm going to wait till you get a little bit older. You see how we're always building on this story? We've never lied. We never kept secrets, but we're not just going to dump the whole thing because a 6-year-old, a 14-year-old can't carry that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And here's where some external language in other areas. Right now, just y'all continue to use the line over and over and over. My job is to keep you safe.
Okay.
That's just a line, always. And then, like, I've told my son that since he was 0. Told my daughter that since she was 0. They rolled their eyes out of the back of their heads and repeated after me. But then when my son was like, Dad, I want Snapchat, I said, hey, what's my one job? Oh, God, keep me safe. Okay. Well, when you were a kid, it was not falling off a ladder. Now it is not letting predators come into your house, our house.
Yeah.
And so when you sit down and he's 15 or he's 17, he's like, why didn't you ever tell me that? I have one job. What was my one job? Oh, are you serious? Keep me safe? Yes, keep you safe. That's too much for a night. And you see what I'm saying? You've laid the groundwork now that these other principles that we have for raising you guys is we're always going to tell you the truth, but we're also not going to just bury you in details. It's not for you. And by the way, you can tell a 17-year-old, a 22-year-old, I made a call. Are you serious? You didn't put him in jail? I made a choice when I was 22. You gonna go judge her? Like, parents are allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me till I was 17? Because I made a choice. And that's sometimes enough. That's often enough. But we're going to tell a story that we can always build on. I wasn't a part of making you, but I got to you as fast as I could because you're my son. And you got the very, very best parts. Your daddy. And he did some bad stuff, so he got in trouble and can't see us anymore. Yeah, it's a bummer. And we're going to start there. And they probably will never, ever need the nitty gritty. There'll probably never be a day when you sit down with this grown man and say, he put something in my drink. Maybe. Not Fro. That's way down the road. Right now, he just needs to know minute by minute, you're my son. I love you. To the end of the earth and back. To the moon and back.